Imagine arriving at the airport in 2026 feeling completely confident. Your documents are ready. Your authorization is approved. You move through security without stress. You board your flight knowing you didn't miss a single requirement. No last-minute panic. No surprise fees. No denied boarding. Just smooth, prepared travel. Now, imagine the opposite. You show up thinking everything is fine, only to realize your ID isn't compliant, or you forgot to apply for a required international travel authorization, or your airline policy changed and you didn't know. Suddenly, you're stuck at the airport scrambling for answers. That difference between calm confidence and total chaos comes down to one thing: accurate information and preparation. If you're planning to travel in 2026, whether within the United States or internationally, there are real updates you need to understand. Not rumors, not exaggerated social media claims, not fear-based headlines, just the actual verified requirements that affect everyday travelers like you. In this video, I'm walking you through what truly matters this year: Real ID enforcement for domestic flights, new international travel authorization systems, airline policy changes, and the passenger rights that protect you when things don't go as planned. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what you need to travel smoothly in 2026 and what you can safely ignore. Let's start with one of the biggest topics travelers have been hearing about for years: Real ID. The Real ID Act was passed back in 2005 to establish minimum federal security standards for state-issued driver's licenses and ID cards. After years of deadline extensions, enforcement is now fully in effect as of May 7th, 2025, according to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. So what does that mean for you in 2026? If you are flying domestically within the United States, you must present an acceptable form of identification at TSA security. A standard driver's license that is not Real ID compliant will no longer be sufficient. A Real ID compliant license is typically marked with a star in the upper right corner. That star indicates your state verified your identity documents under federal guidelines. But here's something many travelers overlook: a valid U.S. passport is always acceptable for domestic air travel. You do not need to be flying internationally to use your passport. In fact, bringing your passport for domestic flights completely eliminates any Real ID concerns. Other acceptable forms of identification include Department of Defense IDs, permanent resident cards, border crossing cards, and DHS trusted traveler cards like Global Entry or Nexus. Now let's address something important. There have been alarming claims online suggesting that TSA charges a fee if you don't have Real ID. That is not true. There is no $45 fee. There is no penalty fine. If you arrive at the airport without compliant ID, TSA may allow you to proceed after undergoing additional identity verification procedures. This may involve answering background questions or going through enhanced screening. It takes extra time and it's not guaranteed, but there is no fee. Still, relying on that process is stressful and risky. The smarter move is simple: check your ID now. If your driver's license does not have the Real ID star, contact your state's DMV and upgrade it. You'll typically need documents like a birth certificate, social security card, and proof of residence, or just bring your passport when flying. That solves the issue immediately. Preparation eliminates uncertainty. Now let's shift from domestic travel to international travel, where electronic travel authorization systems are expanding globally. If you're planning to visit the United Kingdom, there's a key update. The UK has introduced an electronic travel authorization system, known as ETA, for travelers from visa-exempt countries, including the United States. If you are visiting England, Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland, you must apply for an ETA before you travel. This is not optional. You cannot get it upon arrival. Airlines will verify that you have an approved ETA before allowing you to board your flight. The application is completed online through the official UK government website or mobile app. There is a modest fee, currently $10. You'll need your passport, a digital photo, and a payment method. Most applications are processed quickly, often within hours, but don't wait until the last minute. Apply several days before departure to avoid stress. Once approved, the ETA is valid for multiple trips over 2 years or until your passport expires. Even if you're only transiting through a UK airport, this authorization may still be required. And here's an important warning: use only the official UK government website. Third-party services may charge significantly inflated fees for the same application. Now let's move to Europe. The European Union is implementing the European Travel Information and Authorization System, ETIAS. ETIAS will apply to travelers from visa-exempt countries, including the US, visiting Schengen area countries. When fully operational, travelers will need to apply online before departure. The fee is expected to be $7, and the authorization will generally be valid for 3 years or until your passport expires. There has been confusion online about fees and exemptions. When active, travelers under 18 and over 70 are expected to be exempt from the fee, but they must still complete the application. ETIAS is separate from the Entry-Exit System, known as EES, which will collect biometric data at border crossings using facial recognition and fingerprints. The purpose of these systems is to enhance border management and security, while ideally streamlining entry once you're registered in the system. Here's the key takeaway: apply early. As soon as your trip is confirmed, complete any required travel authorizations. Don't leave it to the week before departure. Now let's talk about airline policy updates in 2026. Airlines frequently adjust policies, and staying informed helps you avoid surprises. One of the most notable changes involves Southwest Airlines. For decades, Southwest operated under an open seating policy. Passengers boarded by group and chose any available seat. That era is ending. Southwest has announced a transition to assigned seating, aligning its process more closely with other major airlines. This means when you book, you'll either choose or be assigned a specific seat in advance. For travelers who appreciated the flexibility of open seating, especially families hoping to sit together without added fees, this is a meaningful shift. However, Southwest has indicated it will maintain policies like free checked bags and no change fees, preserving parts of its brand identity. Speaking of baggage, most major U.S. airlines continue to charge for checked bags on domestic routes. Fees commonly range from $30 to $35 for the first bag and $40 to $45 for the second, depending on the airline. Weight limits are typically 50 pounds for standard checked luggage. Oversized or overweight bags incur additional fees. Always review your specific airline's baggage policy before booking. Fare classes differ, and the cheapest ticket may include significant restrictions. Another important area involves lithium battery regulations. The Federal Aviation Administration enforces limits on lithium battery capacity for safety reasons. If you travel with powered mobility devices, medical equipment, or large battery packs, check the watt-hour rating before flying. Batteries exceeding 160 watt-hours often require special approval or may not be permitted. If you rely on mobility devices, contact your airline well in advance to confirm compliance. Advanced communication prevents difficult airport situations. Now let's discuss something positive: strengthened passenger rights. The U.S. Department of Transportation has reinforced automatic refund rules. If your flight is canceled or significantly changed and you choose not to accept the airline's alternative arrangement, you are entitled to a refund to your original form of payment. Significant changes generally include departure or arrival shifts exceeding 3 hours domestically or 6 hours internationally. Refunds must be automatic. Airlines cannot force vouchers unless you voluntarily accept them. Refunds must be processed within 7 business days for credit card purchases and 20 days for other forms of payment. If you paid for services you didn't receive, such as in-flight Wi-Fi, seat selection, or checked baggage that was significantly delayed, you're entitled to refunds for those services. Passengers with disabilities also have important protections. Airlines must provide assistance with boarding, deplaning, and airport navigation at no cost. If a wheelchair or mobility device is damaged, airlines must repair or replace it and provide a temporary replacement if needed. If issues arise, complaints can be filed with the Department of Transportation's Aviation Consumer Protection Division. Knowing your rights empowers you to advocate for yourself calmly and effectively. Now let's talk practical preparation strategies. Create a personal travel checklist. For domestic travel, confirm you have real ID compliant identification or a passport. For international travel, verify entry requirements for your destination. Apply for required authorizations early. Check passport validity carefully. Many countries require your passport to be valid for at least 6 months beyond your return date. Renew early if necessary. The U.S. State Department has expanded online renewal eligibility for certain applicants, making the process more convenient. When booking flights, read the fare rules. Understand change policies, cancellation terms, baggage allowances, and seating restrictions. Arrive at the airport with sufficient time. TSA recommends 2 hours before domestic flights and 3 hours before international flights. Keep both digital and printed copies of important documents. Technology fails. Batteries die. Printed backups provide security. Consider enrolling in TSA PreCheck or Global Entry if you travel frequently. These programs reduce wait times and streamline security or customs processing. Finally, let's address misinformation. Be cautious of extreme claims not supported by official sources. If a fee or penalty sounds shocking, verify it directly through government websites like tsa.gov or travel.state.gov. Avoid third-party websites that charge excessive fees for government authorizations. Reliable information is factual, calm, and verifiable. Fear sells clicks. Facts enable preparation. So let's recap. Real ID enforcement is active. Bring compliant ID or a passport for domestic flights. Apply in advance for international travel authorizations like the UK ETA and upcoming ETS for Europe. Stay updated on airline policy changes, including seating updates and baggage rules. Know your rights regarding automatic refunds and disability protections. Prepare early, verify through official sources, and give yourself time at the airport. Travel in 2026 doesn't have to be complicated. It just requires informed preparation. When you show up with the right documents, correct authorizations, and a clear understanding of airline policies, the entire experience changes. You move confidently. You make informed decisions. You avoid unnecessary stress. And that's the goal. If this breakdown helped you separate fact from fiction, share it with someone planning a trip this year. The more travelers who rely on accurate information, the smoother journeys become for everyone. Subscribe for clear, reliable updates on travel policies, immigration requirements, and passenger rights. Safe travels. And remember, preparation powered by accurate information is your strongest travel tool in 2026 and beyond. Thank you for watching.